To the Factor Uncensored, the tragedy of the Sandy Hook, officially 10 years ago today, is the inspiration for a controversial new art exhibit in Long Island, New York. Now, artist Hubert Waldrop is behind it. The exhibit shows older versions of the 20 children who were gunned down this day a decade ago. Waldrop says the exhibit is to pay tribute to the victims and raise awareness about gun violence. But a lot of people say it's disrespectful. Newtown, Connecticut's former school board member who was there at that time, Cody McCubbin, is here in the studio with us on the Factor Uncensored. Cody, first of all, 10 years. When we think about the tragedy and one of the deadliest school shootings in American history, not much has changed.
No.
We had Uvalde here. We've had other shootings around the country. Not much has changed.
No, and I never really expected it to. I mean, look, it never gets any easier for me. You know, year after year, just because it's the 10-year anniversary doesn't mean that, you know, time doesn't heal all wounds. Right. I mean, it's true. And it's, you know, it never... You know, and every time one of these events happen, it just gets, it does. It's like a rush of emotions flooding back from the day that it happened, right? And I sympathize and I totally understand that every time one of these events happens, I know, unfortunately, I know exactly how all those people feel.
And so when you have or you see these events happening again, time after time, you said you're never surprised that there has been no change. But are you ever frustrated? It's like, what the hell are we thinking? Why won't we do something about this?
But that's the whole problem. I don't know what the solution is. I mean, everybody talks about certain bans on certain types of weapons. But again, okay, so let's say if we went for like an assault weapon ban. Okay, so what do you do with the 30 or 40 million assault weapons that are currently out there in circulation? Are you going to go confiscate those? I mean, these are realistic. I mean, where you could have the politicians come up with all sorts of rules and all sorts of slogans and, you know, the canned response that they want to all these events. But until you can actually come up with something that's going to be tangible, that's actually going to make a difference. I mean, let's take a look at like some of the things that happened here in Houston, like the gun buyback. I think they, over a period of a couple days, they bought back 600 guns. It takes 10,000 guns for every murder in this country. This is what I'm saying. The number of weapons in this country is immense. There's more guns than people. So to be able to, these type of solutions aren't solutions because they're not really addressing, they're not doing it in enough mass in order to really create any dents or make any difference.
Now let's talk about this artist in Long Island, New York, who has aged the victims there. Your thoughts on this exhibit and how you feel about it?
Look, you know, the guy has the right to do whatever he wants, right? It's a free country. He can do whatever he wants. But you know what? It's really easy as an artist to sit there and do these kind of stunts and not really understand the pain and the suffering that might go along with that, right? Because when this individual didn't have to live through this. They didn't have to sit there and go through the trauma and deal with the parents. I had to sit down with the parents, go to these funerals. I went to 4 wakes in one day.
Wow, wow.
Okay, so 4 of those were children, 1 of them was the principal. So you go through that kind of emotional kind of, for lack of a better word, trauma. You don't pull stunts like this. This isn't something that you do to kind of like garner attention, because all you're doing is either one, you're either all the people who are like for you and kind of want that shock value, either you're going to make one side really angry or you're going to make one side say, see, this is what we're trying to achieve. So are you really coming up with a solution, or are you just, again, just driving a wedge between people? I don't think this is not how you solve problems.
Do you feel like this has been, Sandy Hook has been the tragedy to victimize, to take advantage of, from Alex Jones and InfoWars to this artist that you see is doing something that you guys believe, or at least you believe, isn't something that he should be doing? Do you feel like Sandy Hook is a tragedy to take advantage of?
No. I mean, is it any more of a tragedy than you know, any other tragedy?
No, but I'm saying what we're seeing is more than often, more people exploit Sandy Hook.
Absolutely, but why are they doing it, right? So why did Alex Jones do it? Because he could make money off of it, right? It was for him. It brought attention to him. And I totally believe that this is what's happening to this guy with this art exhibit. Is it really about the kids, or is it about attention onto himself? We've become such a society of narcissists that people are willing to do almost anything in order to get attention to themselves. It's sort of like the earlier bit about the lady and her baby, you know, it's like get all these clicks and all these likes. It's like, as a society, I think, you know, as individuals, we've kind of like thrown out the sense of empathy, and it's all about like, what can I do for myself to elevate my personal, you know, my personal capital? It's terrible.
Absolutely, I agree.